Hello everyone. The topic of today's discussion is World English is Today. In this lecture, we will discuss the emergence of English as a global language. We will also discuss that why English emerged as a global language. In other words, we will discuss the causes of English to become a global language. And finally, we will talk about the inner, outer, and expanded circle of English. So let's begin our today's lecture. The emergence of English as a global language. After the 1950s, English emerged as a single and effective means of communication across the globe. So it was the second half of 20th century when English became one of the most influential and a single effective means of communication across the globe. And currently, English is the most learned. Nowadays, it is the most learned, taught, and spoken language in the world than any other languages, right? English as the first language. So it is estimated that more than 300 million people, and now this figure raises to 400 million. People use it as their first language. For example, in the country Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, and USA. So it is used as the first language, and there are more than 3 to 400 million of people who use English as their first language. English as a second or additional language. So over 700 million people use English as a second or additional language. For example, in Africa, Asia, like we are living in Pakistan, so we can say Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, right? Some parts of Africa, Europe, Latin America, and the island nation of the world. So there they use English as a second or additional language. The worldwide diffusion of English, right? So the spread of English has been seen in terms of two diaspora. So the word diaspora means here like the movement of English, that how English moved from one country to another. So there are two different diaspora that we can say that English spread across the globe. So what are those two diasporas? First, diaspora. First is due to migration of English-speaking people from Great Britain to Australia, North America, and New Zealand. So that is the first diaspora, or the first cause of the spread of English across the world, right? That the people from Britain, from UK, they moved to Australia, or they migrated to Australia, North America, New Zealand, and then in this country English also became their first language, right? Or you can say that mother tongue. So this is the first cause, or you can say that the first diaspora that we can say that English spread or English reached to these countries. Second, diaspora. On this slide, we will discuss the second cause of the spread of English, or the emergence of English as a global language. So the first cause was the migration. When the British people, they migrated to Australia, North America, and New Zealand, and there they settled. So they took themselves also English language, and now English is the first language or mother tongue of New Zealand, North America, Australia, Canada, these countries. So that was the first cause of the spread of English. And the second was colonialism. So we will discuss here. The second, diaspora, resulted primarily from the diffusion of English among speakers of diverse group of people, because these people like from Britain, they were official administrator. They went to different parts of the world and they occupied those countries. They came to Asia, they went to Africa, right? They went to America, North America, so different parts of the world, and they settled there. And languages across the world as a result of colonialism. So the second cause of the spread of English or the emergence of English as a global language is colonialism, right? Because most part of the world became the colonies of Great Britain. And other political and economic factors are also involved. For example, in 20th century when America became the superpower, right? Or like the most powerful country economically, politically, and from all aspects. So these are other, beside colonialism, there are some other factors like political and economic factors. Only a small number of English speakers carried their language as colonial official missionaries and businessmen. So there were administrators and there were like missionaries and there were businessmen. And along with these people, there were also educators. And these people carried themselves English. And then you see that because the influence, because they were politically strong, they were like economically strong, right? And they were like military wise strong. So that's why then most of the affairs of the state were run by these people and they use English language. So that was the second cause of the spread of English across the globe. That was colonialism and political and economic factors. The field of English studies, whether in the first or the second diaspora. The first diaspora, that was migration. The second diaspora, that was colonialism, is fraught with debates and controversies. Questions ranging from what is English, right? Either the first diaspora or second. People ask question that what is English and whose language is it? Or to which English should we learn and teach, right? So like British English, American English, what should we teach? So rate and not only specialists but everyone active in areas such as politics, academia and media has an opinion. So although most discussions tend to present issues in terms of binary categories such as standard and non-standard language. So these were like the discussions and the controversy, right? That they should learn standard or non-standard, or what is standard and what is non-standard, and what is native and what is non-native, what is British and what is American. So these were the questions that the people asked, and so on. So the patterns that the global spread of language presents are much more complex that such an either or view can realistically or usefully handle. So that's very much complex, right? Like we're talking about like the spread of English. The pattern the global spread of English presents are very much complication or very much complex. English has more centers than just America and British by now. So we can't say that English is only the language of American or the language of British, right? So the center of English is not only America or Britain, but there are several centers or multi-centers of English now. And as a linguist and language learners and teachers, it is important that we study the nature of this various language, right? One useful way of conceptualizing this pluricentricity, right? Plural centricity or pluricentricity is to look at the English using word in terms of three concentric circle as Kachoru suggests. So we will discuss, right, the three circle of English, right? And these three circles of English presented by Kachoru, right? So we will discuss one by one now. So what is the matter here? That one useful way of conceptualizing this pluricentricity, that why English is not like the language of American or British just, but also the language of other people or other countries, other nations. This is called plural centricity, is to look at the English using word in terms of three concentric circles. So we will look at that how English language is used, okay, in English speaking world, right? Let's discuss. So the first circle Kachoru discussed, that is inner circle. The inner circle comprises the mother country like England and the British Isles, and the areas where the speaker from Britain took the language with them as migrated. So Australia, New Zealand and North America also there. So this is called then the inner circle. So what is the inner circle? The inner circle where English is used as a mother tongue or mother country, like in England and British Isles. So beside England and British Isles, those parts of the world where the British people migrated and they took themselves this English, and then English became also the mother tongue or mother country of those countries also. For example, Australia, New Zealand, North America or include. So this is called the inner circle of language. So this is okay that here we were talking about that one useful way of conceptualizing this pluricentricity is to look at the English using word. We're talking about, okay, that where English is used, right? So English using word in terms of three concentric circles. So the first one, that is inner circle, where the English is used as a mother tongue or mother country, right? The second, that is the outer circle according to Kachoru. So the outer circle comprises the countries where the language was transplanted by a few colonial administrators, businessmen, educators and machinery, and is now nurtured by the vast majority of indigenous multilingual users. They use English as the additional language or second language for their purposes, which include many national and international domains. So what is the outer circle? The outer circle of English world is those countries where the British made them their colonies. That is not through migration, right? The first, that was through migration, right? Like Australia, New Zealand and North America, and they are mother countries or native. And the outer one is what, where the some parts of the world, like most part of the world in 19th and 20th century, British made them their colonies, right? So this is because of colonialism, right? So colonial administrator, businessmen, educators and machineries is now nurtured by vast majority of indigenous multilingual user, and now English is used there as an additional or second language, right? They communicate. You see their education is in English, and they're like they use English as an official language, right? There are newspaper in English, and like most of the people, they understand and they speak and they read and they write English. So that is okay, that the outer circle of language according to Kachoru. Now the expanded circle of language according to Kachoru. So the expanding circle represents the countries, for example, People Republic of China, Japan, Korea, Thailand, countries of Europe, the Middle East and the Latin America, where the language is still spreading mainly for serving the need of an international medium in business and commerce, diplomacy, finance and other such spheres. English in this circle, however, is also finding increasing use in internal domains of academia, media and professions such as medicines, engineering, etc. So this is now the third, and this is called the expanded circle. So that is not like because of migration, that is not because of colonialism, that is because of the need of the time, need of the world, right? So that's in People Republic of China, Japan, Korea, Thailand. These were the some countries of the Europe and Middle East and Latin America, where the language is still spreading. And why this language English is spreading? That is because of the serving of the need for international medium in business. All business, all trades, that is done in English. So that's why it is need of the day. and commerce, diplomacy, finance, and other such spheres. So English in this circle, however, is also finding increasing use in internal domains, not just for the sake of like a finance, diplomacy, and for business, but also in academia, media, professions such as medicine, engineering, etc. So you see that if you become like a powerful country, so of course people will use your language. So America is the most powerful country, right? It has influence everywhere. So that's why English is used. Similarly, the British is no more than more or less than America, right? So that's why the English is used. So all like trade, business, affairs, right, and like communications, all these diplomacy are done in English. So that's why this is the expanded circle of English. So this we can say that this is because the expanded circle, it happens because of political and economic factors, not because of colonialism. Because America, she became the most powerful country, right? And she has influence around the world, right? Everywhere. So that because of political and economic factor, English is expanding in those countries also where they were not colonized by Britain, right? So this is the third circle. If we talk about Pakistan, so Pakistan come in the outer circle. Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nigeria, some parts of Africa, Asia, so they are included in outer circle. And if you talk about expanded circle, then we have like China, Japan, Korea, Thailand. So these are not the countries which are colonized by British, right, or by America. But because of the need of the day, because of political and economic factors, English became the international language and people use there, right? So thank you so much. It was all about World English is today, and it was an introductory class. We discussed the emergence of English as a global language. We talked that when did it emerge as a global language, and then we talked about that where it is used as a first language and where it is used an additional or second language. We also talked about the worldwide diffusion being the spread of a language, right? And this diffusion, this spread happened into diaspora. The first diaspora, that was migration, and the second was colonialism. And then we talked about the three circle, that English is not the center of an English is not America and British alone now. It is now multi-center or pluricentricity of English is there. And then we did how can we view English using words. So then we talked about inner circle, outer circle, and expanded circle. So thank you so much. I'll upload more videos in World Englishes. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel and provide your valuable comments. Thank you so much.